Okay, ladies and gentlemen, this is the project Don't BS Me Colorado that I built. There's been many renditions of this, but this is how it is currently in this stage in early November 2017 with the budget, quote-unquote budget build for everybody that I did of the most suggested parts that I tell people to use and wanted, I say this stuff works, so I wanted to reiterate, so I took out my 1,000 horsepower combination and built this, which has been lots of fun and a great learning experience, hopefully for you guys as much as it is for me. Also, ironically, I like cheaper builds. They're more satisfying to me. Anyway, let's go from the vehicle here is a 05 Chevy Colorado base model work truck, with the vinyl interior, well, vinyl floor, just a regular bench, column shift, no frills. And what I did was I took the 4-cylinder out of it. It had approximately 200,000 miles on it. I pulled out the 4-cylinder, and this is like a 02 4.8. I honestly forget the year, but all that matters is it's early, not like a 99 that has paperhead gaskets. It has MLS gaskets in it, and you can watch on the video series. All I do to this thing is put a cam and valve springs in it. I put the cam in dry, much to many people's horror. I just jammed that puppy in there, doesn't matter. And then I took the stock injectors and I decapped them and sent them to my buddy Eric to have flowed so we could make sure they were even. They were all very good. That's what's in here now. They flow approximately 75 pounds now that they're decapped. They were the stock 4.8 liter, 25-ish pound injector. And then the only other modification to the engine, honestly, is spark plugs. It has BR7EF NGK spark plugs, and then it has this turbo hanging on it. And my buddy built the turbo kit to fit the Colorado. It is just a simple log manifold that holds this VS Racing billet 7875. And then what we did was we welded on a VS Racing 44 millimeter wastegate right onto the housing. And then added this is a 2.5-inch intercooler piping. It goes into a 3-inch intercooler down here in the front, jammed in there. See here? 3-inch intercooler piping out into the motor. And this is stock throttle body and stock alternator and everything in the stock location for a truck. This has a 2-speed Ford fan. It comes on like the V8 Cougar and the Taurus and a bunch of stuff. But I love this single fan that does 2 speeds. It's incredible. You never have to use the high. I just have the high wired to a switch because obviously doing like minute-long burnouts and some other stuff and pounding on the car will get it hot in most cases. So sometimes I like to preemptively turn the fan on high. Other times just to cool it off or do some other fun things. Anyway, this combination with the stock computer, my buddy Andy Bryant rewired the stock harness, as you can see it in here. It's nicely rewired. He rewired a stock harness for me. His prices are on the internet and you can contact him for pricing. But he put a nice fuse panel in the harness. It's got an OBD2 port that I have my dash plugged into. And then this is the P59 computer that I'm using right now. And that's Andy's rewire. It's beautiful. He does an incredible job. I don't know how he does such a nice job, to be honest. The other things I got going on are this has a 3-inch downpipe and it goes into a mandrel bent Y pipe. And that is a loud valve, and then it goes under the truck and it goes into a MagnaFlow 2.5-inch muffler. So this ironically is nice and quiet, and then when you roll into it, this valve opens and dumps. So you get all the horsepower of a 2-foot dump pipe here that would deliver. And the truck makes 540 rear wheel with a little bit of room on the injector. That's all she's got. And then behind the motor, there's a 480E with 140,000 miles on it. It has most of a Transgo HD2 install kit in it. I did the modifications to this transmission on video. I can link this stuff down below. Hopefully I can remember. If not, you guys ask me in the most unprofessional way possible and I will add them for you. Anyway, it has a budget PTC converter. I say budget because it wasn't even originally spec'd for this, and I got it from my friend for cheap. Not to be confused with PTC selling a budget 4L80E converter. I don't know if they do or don't. All I'm saying is that's what I have, and it works. And then the rest of the 80E is totally stock. I had a guy on YouTube reach out to me and build a drive shaft. That's where my exhaust comes out. So I have the YouTube drive shaft in there, which normally costs me about $330, which is in the cost sheet. And then what I have here in the back of the truck is a Ford Explorer rear end. Come on. There we go. That's a stock Ford Explorer rear that's been narrowed, and it has 2 short axles in it. But totally stock Ford Explorer axle back here. Pretty neat. And then the only thing that's helping this solid axle car is it has traction bars made by another guy that sells them for like Colorados. Pretty neat, pretty nice. That works. Stops the wheel hop and the axle wrap and everything else. Now what I did use is HP tuners, and it has a 3-bar operating system. And this is a 3-bar map sensor from EFI Source. And then what you see here is a flexible 80E dipstick. That's actually on eBay as a flexible TH400 dipstick. It's like $26. Because a low car one's like $100, I think. It's like $80 to $100. I just can't do it. Can't do that to myself. So I'm racking my brain here thinking if I need to explain anything else. It has a VS Racing blow-off valve, which I normally don't run, but someone sent me one. I felt obligated to install it, test it, and see if you guys would like it. What I'm doing now is I'm draining the coolant system so I can do the head swap, and also it's getting cold outside. It's closing in on winter, so I'm going to be putting some coolant in this pig. What's in the back, since the front is 6-lug, it's got the stock little rims and tires on it. And then the back here, I keep getting spares. These are 16-inch Explorer spare rims with some like 31s mounted to it that are just doing burnouts with. And then, oh yeah, fuel tank. I have the stock fuel tank, stock fuel filler neck, and then what I did was, earlier renditions of this car, I had 2 and even 3 fuel pumps in this puppy. And I have an access door underneath here. It's not this, but there's an access door underneath the bed, and you can see that in a lot of my videos. Currently it has a single 450 LPH Walboro fuel pump. It has had up to 3, but this is the budget build, so single pump. And I may put more pumps in it for this combination, but as of right now, the injector and the pump, that's a good combination for what I tell people to make that 500 pony number. Those dyno numbers for 540 rear wheel are with the unlocked 80E. Trying to think what else people ask. Oh yeah, the dash. People ask about the dash endlessly. I decided for fun, since I did a stock computer again, to try out another OBD2 based dash. And this is a, plugs right into the OBD2 port. And it's made by Edge Products. You can see down here in the corner. Edge. This is called the Edge Insight CTS2 monitor. It's called the monitor because it has no flashing ability. There are some versions of this that you can buy, and it'll have tunes in it for like a diesel. So you can load tunes. But this is just for display, just so I can see my temperatures and what else is going on. Oh man, other than that, I can't really... There really isn't much more done to this. It's really kind of simple. It has current performance motor mounts. I just bought them just for fun. I just bought the damn mounts instead. Normally I make them. And then for the transmission mount, it's a bunch of spare parts I had laying around, just pieces of metal, pieces of the stock mount, as you can see. That's like the giant stock mounting piece. And then it goes over and I welded like box tubing onto it. And that's a small block Chevy clamshell mount that I drilled a hole into. And that's holding up the mount. It's doing a great job. And then this, you can see this is my MagnaFlow 2.5 inch that's V-banded in. That's my exhaust hanger. What a wonderful job. This guy really knows what he's doing. But yeah, that's it. That's it for that. That's where it dumps out, nice and quiet. And then there really ain't much more done. I'm trying to think. I got my electronics in here. I used to have, these are some switches for like the standalones I was using. It's funny, it's gone full circle from standalones. back to a stock computer. Normally people go from a stock computer to standalones. And then, man, that's it for this thing inside. I can't really think of anything else done. It's fairly simple. I'd love to make a pass in it at this horsepower level, but I'm buying a house and I'm gonna have to move, and I'm having a kid any day now, any minute now. So while I'm at this garage with all my tools before I put everything away, I'd like to do the head swap here and then make the dyno pulls and see the differences and go over the logs and review everything with you guys. So the head swap is coming next. A little bit of coolant in this thing because I usually run water because of how much I take it apart or mess with it, or just in case I knock a rod out of the thing or vent a cylinder head and spray everything all over. But it's alarmingly simple, and an entire summary of this build you can find on the Sloppy wiki page, which I should start mentioning. I think I should put together a short clip. I should put together a short clip at the end of my videos, don't you think? Where I say like, hey, I have an entire Sloppy Mechanics website available with links to a lot of things. And then there's a wiki page which has a ton of easily accessed searched information for a lot of commonly asked questions. On the page, it has links to buy stuff, what to buy. It even has a build section where it highlights a lot of these, like the Fairmonts. My wife's truck, I think, is on there, the Colorado, both renditions. So the 1,000 horsepower loadout for the Colorado is on there. And then this DontBSme build is on there. And it shows every part that was used, at least everything everybody asks for. It's all there, listed, if you want to copy it. And I mean, it doesn't get much more simple than that. If you have any other questions, let me know. But look at the wiki page, search the videos. I'll try to link the transmission and some other stuff in here. Let me know if you guys have any other questions before I start on the cylinder head swap. I think I had a lot of questions lately about dome boost control or CO2 boost control, because my buddy Mark's car has it and it gave us an issue once or twice. His car has been really good. It gave us an issue at the track. It ended up being a bad sensor, and then after the bad sensor it had a bad crimp where I guess when we were swapping the sensor, pulled the wire out of the crimp. So it had bad wiring and a bad sensor. So people have been asking me like more about the CO2 based boost control, so I was thinking about doing a video on the whiteboard explaining how CO2 based boost control works, why it's desirable, in what instances you might use it, and benefits and, you know, not so great things about it. So let me know if you guys would be interested in hearing that. I was thinking about doing one because it can be complex and it can be very simple, and a lot of people don't know a lot about it, and documentation on it might not be that great if you look it up on the internet. So, but that's the summary for this guy. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'm honestly asking you if you have questions, instead of disregarding everyone's questions and saying, you know, I answered it all before. So we're going to go over all this stuff. Hopefully it was comprehensive. Go over the cylinder head swap, tell you more about the cylinder heads. The cylinder heads have valves in it, but they're bare otherwise, so I'm going to do all the hardware install, like the seals and the springs. I'm going to show how I do that off the bench. It'll be neat. I'll use my, I made a valve spring. It's underneath some stuff here. I made a really ugly valve spring install stool, which I showed when I did the cam install, and I jammed the camshaft in there dry and everyone lost their minds, but it seems to be fine, of course. And then what I did was, classically, one of my biggest jokes is, everyone's like, man, that's messy, and then I paint everything with black spray paint, and everyone goes, wow, you really cleaned it up. I didn't clean anything up, I just spray painted it black, but the people's perception of what fast and clean and well-built is always makes me laugh. I'm always curious to see what people think is well built, which is actually junk, or what's junk. And people, you know, I like that whole perception game. So I spray painted all this stuff black. I painted my turbo black. People are like, wow, you did a really nice job. It looks really good. But it's the same bullshit in the same fucking engine bay. Anyway, that's it. I'm lens flaring the shit out of you guys right now. Feel like I dusted all my hair off. Yeah, I was looking like a lumberjack, and my wife wants nice pictures of me with the baby, and I was looking a bit unprofessional and homeless at work, so I took care of that last night. It's another update for you guys. too much info. But let me know if you have any other questions about all this shit. If it seems simple, it's because it is. It's fucking simple. It really is. And also, when I do the heads, I would like to dyno on my decaps. And I let my buddy Ryan Ackerman borrow. I have FIC 105-pound injectors, which I used before on this truck before I went to the 210s. I have those. I would like to put those back in here, do some tuning with that, and then I think I might, since I'm using a lot of fuel with the single 450, I think it would be cool to see how far I can go on the 100-pounders and like C16, and maybe lean on this Gen 3 a little bit and see how this combo will do. My converter isn't going to like a lot more power, but it'll be interesting to see the capabilities of this setup. And then also what I'm thinking of doing is, when I data log intake boost pressure, I'm thinking about drilling a hole in the pressure side of my hot side and data logging it, basically. Or using something to log it, like an old Megasquirt I have laying around in a transducer. Or I have a pressure gauge here. Like I got this guy, little 0 to 30. So what will be neat here, one way you can tell the efficiency of your turbo setup is you're monitoring your back pressure and your intake pressure. So what happens is when you start to get over 1-to-1 is where the turbo starts laying over usually. Usually I can see it because the car will stop producing a certain amount of horsepower per pound. Same thing you can see on your boost. Like if you're running 20 pounds of boost and you have 20 pounds of back pressure on the other side of the turbo and the exhaust, you're doing pretty good because you're at 1-to-1. What happens is the turbo is gonna start backing up and you're gonna get 40 pounds of back pressure on 20 pounds of boost. And obviously it can't get the air out, so it's not going to make good power after that. You have to look at sizing your turbo appropriately or changing your camshaft or a bunch of other options at that point. But anyway, that's all crazy advanced stuff for a lot of people. But I figured I'd slam it in there for a nice little weekend update, Saturday Night Live style. So again, pitch your questions and let me know if you have any questions about this setup or what I've got coming up. And I'm going to do a little Mr. Rogers neighborhood learning class over here on CO2 based boost control, dome control, all the same thing. But let me know what you think about that. Other than that, give this video a thumbs down because they all suck real bad. See you later.